Welcome to Here Comes the Boom, a Kentucky basketball recruiting podcast brought to you by KSR and KSR Plus. There's a lot going on in Kentucky basketball recruiting. Kentucky just hosted its first two official visitors of the fall with Caleb Holt and Maximo Adams. A lot going on, especially with Tyron Stokes, who was on USC's campus last weekend. We're going to get into all of it. Before we do, go and subscribe to KSR Plus. Subscribe to the KSR YouTube channel. We're going to have tons of great content coming your way as official visit season is in full form. And let's just get into it talking about new intel, because there's been a lot of new intel swirling about a lot of 5-star targets, 4-star targets for Kentucky basketball. You can go to KSR Plus. You can see my intel piece from, I believe, Monday on recruiting notes after Kentucky's first fall official visits, talking about Maximo Adams, talking about Caleb Holt. I got positive feedback on both of those visits, as well as Cam Mercer, a 2028 guard who is on campus for an unofficial. So I heard that those visits went very well. As for Holt, let's start with talking about him. I'm hearing Alabama and Auburn are still major contenders for Holt. Holt just moved up his Alabama visit to, it was originally intended to be in October. Now it's going to be this upcoming weekend. I'm hearing that Auburn visit is still going to remain in October. So still unsure about what that means as far as a decision timeline. I know Arkansas and Kansas are still somewhat in the mix as options. He's already taken an OV to Arkansas, and Kansas is involved there. And then I noted how it's an interesting recruitment, given that Kentucky is still all in on Tyron Stokes as their number one target in the class. And I put out that the sources I talked to remain skeptical that Kentucky would be able to land both. A lot of it is due to the NIL demands, and that Holt is the number one priority for schools like Alabama and Auburn, and they're probably going to be offering him number one priority type NIL money. And if Kentucky's going to land Tyron Stokes, they're offering him a big chunk of their rev share to land him, and it's just unclear about how much would be left for a guy like Holt, who you're going to have to pay big money. But in talking to some other sources, they believe that they could get it done. But then there's just some concerns about whether Holt and Stokes would be willing to play together. I've heard that they enjoy playing together, but maybe people around the recruitments might not see that as the best option for either player. Obviously, Holt is a potential top 5 pick, just like Stokes, and would want to shine at his school. Then you have Arafan Diani. Let's start talking about what's next, because he is the next visitor on Kentucky's list. He moved up his official visit to September 12th through 14th, and he's set to make his commitment on his birthday, November 19th. So still some time away. I know he's set a bunch of official visits. He just cut his list down to, I believe, 5 finalists. So Houston continues to come up a lot with him. You have Arkansas involved, and then Virginia and Indiana, 2 other schools. So Kentucky kicks things off. You got Arkansas the following weekend, and then it continues going on Virginia, and then you have Indiana and Houston in October. So Houston continuing to come up, but Kentucky, we'll see if they can get some movement after this official visit this upcoming weekend. And then let's talk about some more in-homes, because Kentucky has been in to see basically all of their top targets in the 2026 class, and now they're visiting some more guys. They're at Prolific Prep on Wednesday to see Caleb Holt, to see a couple 2027 targets in Bruce Branch and Nasir Anderson. Branch is a player that we've talked about as a reclass candidate to move from 2027 to 2026, and number one player in the 2027 class. And so it's notable that they're going to see Holt right after his official visit, and Anderson, a player that they're prioritizing, as well as Branch. So they can see all 3 of those guys today. I'm expecting Kentucky to be at OTE on Thursday, at least having one of the assistants there for OTE's Pro Day. We'll see Tay Kinney, and then they'll also be there to see Cam Mercer, who was on campus this past weekend. Duron Rippey is an interesting one, because the staff was all in to see him last week. You had Mark Pope, Jason Hart, and Alvin Brooks all doing an in-home. And then I believe it's today, Rippey is expected to meet with Mikhail McLean, Kentucky assistant coach. He's going to visit with Rippey's dad, and then he's going to Blair Academy if he hasn't already. So Rippey's remaining a top priority for Kentucky in the class. That's really where we're at with in-homes. One interesting note is they did an in-home with a 2027 recruit who hasn't really been on our radar yet. He's a new name to watch, Davion Thompson. Sorry, not an in-home. They visited him at his school. Alvin Brooks was there to see Ethan Taylor, four-star center target, who's visiting for Big Blue Madness. But they also have been talking to Davion Thompson, 2027 guard, 6'2" point guard, and Rivals ranks him as the number 20 overall player in the 2027 class. So he's a new name to watch. That's really where we're at with everyone. We're going to have more updates coming on KSR Plus. There's a lot going on in the world of recruiting, so be sure to go and subscribe to KSR Plus. Subscribe to the KSR YouTube channel. We'll see you again soon.